So we just got ourselves the biggest leak going into the final shape, and this leak not only covers everything in season 22 and 23, if to be believed, but everything in final shape and a lot of stuff going beyond, talking about another seasonal content drop, a huge release after the final shape dropping. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about in this video. I would love if you guys could subscribe, hit that like button, put that bell on so you never miss out videos. But this video is going to be quite huge. I just want to warn you, so please be sure to go get yourself a great snack, a chocolate bar, a protein shake. Go and get a good drink. We're going to be here for a while, and there's going to be a lot of stuff to discuss. Now, we talked about a couple days ago, starting off with season 22. Of course, we know Savathun is going to come back, and there has been, a lot of leaks and stuff going under the name. Apparently, season 22, according to this leak, will be called Season of the Vial. I would take these leaks with a grain of salt, obviously, but it looks like, this is going into very practical information that we obviously could see going into next season. Now, going on to it, Season of the Vial will see the resurrection of Savathun, obviously, starting off with working with Amaru to gain his trust. Then we run a mission defending Amaru from Zethu while we find Savathun's body. She has us fighting against Zethu in exchange for information about the Witness, Traveler, and Portal. Seems practical enough. Ikora, Crow, and Eris and Drifter are involved. Seasonal activity involves pacifying Wrathborn with hive magic and stopping Zethu from planting worms in Fallen and Cabal. Worm gods are starving to death, and Zethu tries to create more hybrids to increase tribute. 3-man seasonal activities similar to deep dives this season, but next season you will go further and further into Zethu Aras's ships with changing buffs and rooms. There's a Hive ship, Fallen Scorn ship, and a Cabal ship. Apparently really unbelievable art in jumping with ship to ship. Now, Zethu's Hive visual motif is a deep matted blacks with neon green. Architecture looks akin to Move Hive architecture with pulsing green fire within it. The weekly storyline takes place in missions like Interference from Arrivals. They take place in a location called Essence, that I believe is a pyramid. Savathun teaches us to extract pieces of the Witness's consciousness to weaken it, and we will learn memories of it from this. After learning about Savathun's revival, Zethu Aras starts putting places to wipe out the city. She has become the emissary of the Witness but not a disciple, and now can act freely in soul while the Witness is inside the portal. One detail is that she's performing a ritual to make a massive ass ogres to siege the city, and apparently it's made of parts of Scorn and Cabal as well. The seasonal twist is that Savathun reveals that she does not know how to get into the portal herself, but believes though Vec technology can get through it. A big kin to making the last season of the year be focused more on the Vex and the Fallen, so goes into it pretty nicely. The season ends with a live event that will drop a new strike in the last city where we defend this city from the Ogre. Someone dies. A crucial map in the Vex network, with Gambit also getting 4 new weapons, and a ritual weapon is a kinetic SMG. Now, if we just take this little, paragraph of information, this is all we got for right now on Season 22. It's a lot, and it really covers what the seasonal activity is going to look like and what a lot of the narrative is going to go in. Apparently, already we are going to get the Vex network map. As you guys know, that's been confirmed by Bungie, but already a new strike, and with the activities being fairly similar to last season, but it will be interesting to see how it works going into ships and finding out what the Savathun knows about the Witness. But from that, I feel like it's a lot of good information. Now, going into the next part of this, we talk about Crota's End, and there's some stuff to talk about. Now, first time Bungie has tried this, but Crota's End will actually take present day and be involved in the story. As you guys know, a huge thing that happened this season was the whole dungeon from this season, the Ghosts of the Deep, was focusing on actually resurrecting Oryx as a light bearer. Now, apparently, Crota will be resurrected as a Lucent Hive and has reclaimed his brood. Not adhering to any of the goals of Zethu or Savathun, he kidnaps Zethu's Deathslingers to try and regain his memories in order to enact revenge against those who killed him, and then obviously the 6 returning weapons will return: the pulse, the hand cannon, the shotgun, the sniper, the LMG, the rocket, and apparently Necrochasm will return, as it's not a exotic yet in Destiny 2. There will be no Master Mode, instead Grandmaster Raid will be dropping and completely farmable for high rewards. but there's not much known about the raid. Now that finishes all the information on this leak about Season 22, and we have a lot to go into about the next couple of drops. But looking at that real quick before we get into the next segment, sorry, I feel that this is information that we could possibly see 100%. The activities seem fairly true. I know, again, we don't have any big knowledge on what it's going to be, but already having Savathun involved and us going against Zethu, but using Savathun as a way to enact information, and then also having Crota Zen actually play a heavy part in the story is fairly interesting. I know a lot of you guys wanted Wrath, but if they were going to implement Crota, maybe it's time that they actually want to change that up instead of making it like Vault and King's Fall where it's just in the background. Maybe they want to put it inside the story, as it's going to be looking like another Hive-focused season, but it won't be focused on shooting the Hive, obviously. It looks like there will be other enemies involved, but the Hive will still take a huge pivotal moment in the narrative, so looks fairly interesting there. Now let's get into the last season of Year 6, going into Season 23. Now this season is interesting, because apparently this leak covers that it's pretty light on story content. The Elixian Cabal help us repurpose the Exodus craft in the Cosmodrome to become a new human fleet. Seasonal areas are in the Helm and Last City. Story missions in the Cosmodrome that reuse Taken King colony ship interior. Season is mainly to improve the core activity's health, but mostly strikes. Bungie has confirmed this as well. Cosmodrome overhauled and given a new loot table. Day-night circle is fixed, and the rocket yard is added to the patrol. A new dungeon takes place in the King's Wrath in the Cosmodrome. King's Watch in the Cosmodrome. Taking on the Scorn remnants of the House of Kings, starts on Cosmodrome, then moves to a massive underground Fallen complex. There will be a Strike playlist rework, which improves the rewards of it. However, Bungie is highly cautious when adding Strike-specific loot because of how it can weight the player count of certain activities and also the quit rate, but have added 3 new Strike-specific weapons this season, and some returning ones, and plan to add more in the mid-season patch if numbers look stable. They have Adept versions too. Strikes will have a secret activators in them to make the final boss harder and drop even better rewards, which I gotta say would be amazing. There will be 2 D1 Mars strikes added. The Nokris and Zol strikes will be reintroduced, as well as the Garden World strike from Mercury, which will be reintroduced as well. I'm very cautious on that, but if that is the case, then maybe Mercury will go and be returned for that strike. Now, there will be 3 new strikes: the Containment Breach, the Tree of Silver Wings, and Bridge Factory. Now, as well as adding on to that, apparently, like this season, we had the Last Wish weapons reprised. The Garden weapons in the last season of the year will be reprised, so that will be really cool to see that. Crucible will get 3 new maps, one on Earth, Europa, and the Pyramid Ship. A Blind Watch will return from Destiny 1. 5 new Crucible weapons. Comp weapon is a precision shotgun, a new comp emblem for going on a 10-win streak, a new Ascendant exclusive shader, new Crucible armor similar to the Shax's armor set, and less abilities game mode, and a 1v1 arena with unique modified maps. Now, we are going into a lot of things here that is just going to go into the core playlist and a lot of other stuff. So before we get into the final shape, there's a lot to go in here, just to warn you. That's scratching the surface of this leak. So let's get into more. Apparently, all patrols will be increased in difficulty and reprised weapon sets, including Nessus and the EDZ, large events added to Nessus, Europa, and the Cosmodrome. And I think, like the new Neomuna, will also have a change as well, with their own loot. Nothing crazy, wave-based with a boss like Terminal Override. Adept patrol weapons acquired by completing Master Lost sectors. A couple of new Adept mods will include, for example, increased damage against miners and orange bars. Essentially, shoot to loot lit. Have to shoot ammo for a few times to make it proc, works instantly on a special and heavy weapon, and suit of mods that apply small stacks of elemental status on enemies. Furthermore, apparently going into deeper, Gamba will be getting the returning Dreaming City map and a new asteroid map. Holy crap, guys, I just gotta point this out. If that is true, if this is to be true, we are finally getting one new Gamba map after like 4 years already. Best leak of the year. Now, apparently the enemy density will be increased, invasions reduced, can send multiple lower level blockers at once. Blockers beefed up, 20 more blockers back. Oh, that would be awesome. New primeval bosses added: Colossus, Scion, Wizard, Hobgoblin, Wyvern, Bridge, Cyclops. Last three aren't taken apparently. This is really interesting right now. Primevals have micro mechanics to them, 2 sets of returning weapons added to the loophole, 5 new weapons, new exotics for Vanguard, Crucible, Gambit, and Patrol activities, 1 each, all RNG drops with triumphs increasing the drop rate. Mods that progress crafted weapons when getting kills with abilities and other weapons. Perk enhancement and focusing overhaul. Crafting overall, turn any drop weapon enhanced, including cosmetic changes, scopes, and more mementos. Mid-season cosmetic pack update with stasis and strand armor / ships will add a new 6-man activity in the 9 realm again. We'll have more D1 armor and D1 weapons. Old D1 and D2 tracks added to orbital music. New system in place to completely randomize it or set certain tracks to play first. Also added to the helm. No way, dude. Vault of Glass weapons reprise. The most elaborate Secret Destiny has ever had will tie into a reprised Vault of Glass as a node to the original fan theories, not spoiling this even the reward. In-game LFG will debut with this mid-season patch, which we obviously know. Access through the director or vendor in social spaces. In-game LFG is so important to them right now that Final Shape could have gotten delayed until it was added. Fairly interesting. Now, going over some thoughts real quick before we get into the main thing of the Final Shape. This is way too good to be true. It's too good to be true. Looking at all of this, it's so interesting to me because Bungie has confirmed that this next season they will be adding a lot of the, of course, focusing on, a lot of the core playlists and the in-game LFG and a lot of those elements, a lot of quality of life changes. So if they are really focusing on this season to add a lot of these changes, oh my god, season 23 is going to be the most exciting season this year if to be true. And I'm excited for that. And looking at all that, a Gambit rework, Crucible rework, Strike rework, all these other things being added into everything, it's like they really aren't slowing down. Of course, obviously, we've been having a huge down low right now, but maybe those changes that they've seen, the feedback we have gave them, is probably being implemented for future seasons, if to be believed. Now, let's get into the main juicy piece of content, which is the Final Shape stuff, and this is going to really go and take a while, I should say. Here we go. So with the Final Shape, you guys know the expected release date will be February 2024, but things can change. Apparently, the Patrol in the Garden from the trailer that we've seen contains lots of nods to past Destiny things with a secret underground section where everything was born from. New Darkness units, similar behaviors to Rolk and the Scorn, very aggressive. One is taller, slender creature with daggers, and the other has big wings and can switch from flight mode to ground mode. Has a big trident, harnesses arc and solar powers. The raid is the final fight against the Witness, a 3-part boss battle with an escape section, and a semi-secret encounter. Takes place with the Garden and on the planet of the Witness. Raid unlocks new activity in sections of a patrol. Activity is a 6-man activity where we cleanse parts of the Witness in light, extreme enemy density, and some majorly cool set pieces, dreadnought crashes, massive egregore outbreaks, Witnesses planet, and the origin of the Traveler. Not giving much story spoilers for right now, but the Final Shape is largely what people expected from Lightfall. Massive scale, very dark, lots of losses, and big changes. We make a big sacrifice involving the Vex being allowed to particularly understand paracausality in order to enter the portal, has repercussions and sets up a future Vex storyline and expansion. Cade is very much dead. Garden holds consciousness of every being that has ever lived or died. He guides us through it. Witness plans to use the massive energy of consciousness to bring forth the end of the universe and create its own new universe known as the Final Shape. Ghosts are made from the freed souls of the Witnesses people, and there will be 12 missions with this expansion. No new subclass. Midway in the year, another large content release establishing the Reset Destiny universe, some sort of module download introduced system in order to play older content and unvaulted content from the past saga. several old raids returning in the content drop, as well as strikes and modified versions of campaigns. Most things separately to not impact the main game performance. Story missions and strikes will not interact with live patrol zones. Apparently, lastly, factions will return, an old tower, lots of new characters and things introduced, a lot of intentionally vague seeds planted, but also very nostalgic to year one of Destiny. Holy crap! Oh man. Okay. Where to start off here? Now, looking at this from what I say, even if it's not true, I really want it to be true. There is so much here that just talks about Final Shape being what Lightfall was going to be, and I'm already excited for it. Another content release in the same year is a lot of things what people have been talking about recently, and if that is to be true and this talks about it, then we could see another content release returning everything that was vaulted before Beyond Light launched. That would make easily year 7 Final Shape that year be the best year in Destiny 2, hands down. Looking at this is just amazing. With everything coming back, new characters, and with the Vex repercussions, being able to simulate paracausality would basically create a Vex story expansion for a future year sometime down the line. A lot of this sets up for the next, future, and we still have more to talk about as we have stuff going into beyond the Final Shape. And again, take these leaks with a grain of salt, because we are really getting into that further thing of 2025, 2026. But there's a lot still to talk about. Now, apparently, Beyond and Other Things, that's what it's called, there will be no expansion in 2025. Instead, Bungie will be making some very major back-end changes to the servers, game engine, and tool sets. Changes that have been already implemented since Beyond Light, and especially this year with Lightfall. And it's costed content development time, but major changes will be put in place for the next year or two. Some sort of streamlining how activities are built to decrease how they affect the rest of the game, and to allow more frequent and different content. Newly upgraded, Tiger will not only be used for Marathon and future Destiny projects, but Bungie plans to let other developers use it. New compression technology is one of the major things that they've been working on, also toying with protocesual generation. I don't understand engineering shit, but it sounds like they're doing a lot, and it's in a massive investment. Post the Final Shape will be a spiritual reboot for Destiny, changing the tone to something more akin to the space detective story, with an emphasis on world building rather than big action blockbuster. They really missed the mystery of early Destiny, want to get more experimental with just about everything. Post Final Shape has been called the Universal Expansion. A decent bit of things from the current Destiny saga may come forward. Plans for Fallen Houses to come back, Cabal Legions to come back, new Hive Gods. Vex primary enemy have been breached the Garden and are gaining massive amounts of strength. Vex are able to make simulations of major past events in order to learn more about how to defeat us. We go back to moments like Twilight Gap and the Reforce to change the outcome and stop their simulations. A few exorcisms outside the solar system, but nothing major. Stories told will mainly be anthologies and self-contained with loose connections to a greater Vex plot. A grand storyline may come down further in the line. Marathon and Matter haven't affected Destiny's development too much. More so, the hiring of new devs and training them is causing slowdowns. Devs who work on it already left Destiny many years ago, and some of the things they're doing for Marathon are inspiring new Destiny devs for the new saga. Bungie laid off several narrative team members after Lightfall right before the writer's strike. Lightfall was considered a massive success, but the story was one thing that they were very upset about. The new narrative are about to be scary with continuity. Bungie was very upset with the multitude of different narrative decisions made over the years by employees that have been come and gone that made the Destiny universe a lot smaller, and want a chance to redo some things. Warminds, Fallen, Black Garden, and the Vex, for example. Several devs went home with development copies of Destiny 2 on the Switch. There was no possible world where it would run properly and was abandoned. A Destiny 1 remake was discussed, but Bungie prefers to just put all D1 content into D2. Vaulted content from D2 is for most part ready to be put back in the game at any time after the recent tech upgrades. An exotic in Season 23 was convinced after 3 Bungie devs got extremely drunk at a Marines game and started throwing out ridiculous ideas. They pitched it to a sandbox team as a joke, and they loved it and started working on it. And finally, lastly, Bungie wanted to offer Marty a chance to score some of this new saga and to possibly mend past wounds, but talks didn't go so well. Wow, guys. And that finishes off the leak. There is a lot to talk about real quick. Before I just quickly end off the video, there is way too much to talk about. And again, we have to take these things with a grain of salt, but looking at that beyond the final shape as ways to start getting ready for what comes next and their whole entire way of how they're going to, the things that they're doing behind the scenes to really change how the game will operate, that's amazing to me. If that is to be true, we will be going in a huge, good direction. I don't know what you guys think of this. I would love to know what your thoughts are, but man, what a crazy thing to think about if this league is going to be true. And I'll be keeping my tabs on this as we get closer to the showcase. But if this is to be true, wow, guys, we are in for such a expansion and future saga and future seasons. So that's where I'm going to stop it there. I am just so... I'm blank. I'm just looking at all that just made me so excited. But again, we got to take it with a grain of salt. But holy shit, I have nothing. I don't know what to say. That is just something where I've never think would happen in my sort of like leak career. Where of course I know I read leaks obviously over the years, and I talk about them, but I've never really talked about how interesting they are to me. Sort of in a way, and this one definitely exploded it. I'm getting a lot of vibes to how one Witch Queen was leaked, and that talked about the Hive getting the light, and this just going on about everything. I'm just like, I don't know where to talk about. So I'm gonna leave it off there. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know your thoughts. It's gonna be crazy.